There are Aurangzeb streets, Aurangabads, there are over 60 Aurangabads. There are Qutub Minar. But murderers, rapists, people who try to commit genocide and desecrated hundreds of temples, their names should not be on our towns and streets. Most terrible things were done. Over 400,000 Hindus were converted to Islam by force by Tipu Sultan. They proudly claim he killed a minimum of 10,000 Hindus. And men were killed, women were forced to marry on the same day of their husband's death. If they did not agree, hot iron was put into their privates. So recently somebody invited me to their house. I said, okay, give me the address, I will come. Then they gave me the address and it said Tughlaq Road. I said, I'm not coming. I said, you take a spray paint and paint that street board black, then I will come, otherwise I'm not coming to your house. Shamelessly you are living on that street and rape the woman and slaughter the men, rape the woman, slaughter the men. What is that? People who did that, their names should not be flying on towns and streets and circles. So when we say Sanatan, we are talking about an eternal. Dharma does not mean a religion. Unfortunately, this word has gotten around like this. Dharma does not mean religion, dharma means the law, an eternal law. How you arrive at eternal laws? By observation, not by imagination, not by dogma, but by observation and realization, you come to in alignment with creation. Only that can be Sanatan. So that is the essence of who we are. That's not been conveyed to most of the Hindu population, unfortunately. They think lot of Hindus talking about, we have our own book.
Yes.
We did not fall out of a book, you know. We made many books, thousands of them. Well, when Khilji guy, what's his name? Bakhtiyar Khilji came, in one university, the Nalanda University, he burned, it's estimated that he burned 9 million books 500, 600 years ago, 9 million books. Nowhere on the planet there were 9 million books anywhere.
They burned for 6 months.
That's what they say. Some people say it's 12 months, you're saying 6 months. It doesn't matter. There was no petroleum, so it is possible it took 6 months or 12 months. More than that, they burned over, they say 8 to 10,000 monks, because most of them could recite one book by themselves. So they thought books will live within you, so they burned them also alive. So the incredible thing is, the modern day Bharat names that region as Bakhtiyarpur. So this is one thing we must do. Vikram, you must write a book on this. There are Aurangzeb streets, Aurangabads, there are over 60 Aurangabads. There is Bakhtiyarpur, there are Qutub Minar, the man who desecrated both Hindu and Jain temples and built a monument out of that. There is of course Tipu Sultan. Most terrible things were done. Over 400,000 Hindus were converted to Islam by force by Tipu Sultan just in the Malabar region. Men were slaughtered, they say, in a chronicle written by, approved by his own son. That means it's genuine. They proudly claim he killed a minimum of 10,000 Hindus. And men were killed, women were forced to marry on the same day of their husband's death. If they did not agree, hot iron was put into their privates. This is the way things were done. And I have nothing against Islamic rulers because that's our history. We allowed them to come and it happened. Kings who ruled benevolently, you want to put their name, is fine. But murderers, rapists, people who try to commit genocide and desecrated hundreds of temples, their names should not be on our towns and streets. So recently somebody invited me to their house because of some pilots were meeting, you know. They said, Sadhguru, you must come, you're a licensed pilot, you must be there, they will allow it, just 10 minutes you come and go. I said, okay, give me the address, I will come. Then they gave me the address and it said Tughlaq Road. I said, I'm not coming.
Yes.
So you must understand, not because he's Islamic king, because of what he's done. Even if a Hindu king or a Christian like Robert Clive Street means I won't go. I said, you take a spray paint and paint that street board black, then I will come, otherwise I'm not coming to your house. Shamelessly you are living on that street.
Yes.
I will not walk
That's
into that
true,
street.
100%.
Because why don't we have Adolf Hitler Nagar? Why don't we do this? Why don't we have Idi Amin Nagar or Puram? Why don't we? We don't do that. People who displayed extraordinary sense of cruelty to other human beings, whoever they were, we don't eulogize them. But today in this country, there are hundreds of towns, villages and cities and streets named after these people. I'm sure you can recount better. I am not good at numbers, names and dates.
Sadhguru, in our state, Karnataka, there's also Tipu Jayanti. Forget towns, we are also celebrating his birth.
Tipu Jayanti, there was a Tipu Express. One of the worst tyrants.
Even converted dead Kurgis, not only those living, but even the corpses.
The Kurgs have taken, we think Kurgs took the worst of the brunt. That's not a fact. It felt that way because the Kurgs fought. In other places, there were no fighting men, they just took it without so much resistance, so it's not so well recorded. Kurgs really fought, but 70,000 Kurgis were killed. If you fight a battle and you get killed, considering those times, it was the order of the day, it's all right. It's all right if somebody comes and slaughters you in a battle. But it's not all right when you line up civilians and slaughter them and rape the women and slaughter the men, rape the women, slaughter the men. What is that? People who did that, their names should not be flying on towns and streets and circles, in our country, but unfortunately it is. I hope the future elected leaders of this nation have enough wisdom to change that.
The video discusses the historical destruction of Hindu temples and the forced marriages of Hindu women by rulers like Tipu Sultan and Aurangzeb. It highlights the need for reclaiming and preserving Hindu temples that were destroyed, such as in Kashi. In India, all the states' mechanisms work according to constitution. The renaming of cities in India began after independence in 1947. Once the British rule ended in 1947, cities started getting new names. Some of these proposed changes caused controversy. Any changes had to be approved by the central government in New Delhi following the standard procedure. The Constitution of India lays out rules of institution to follow, including the procedure of changing the name of a state. With multiple states and union territories in India, there are often requests to change names to better reflect cultural identities. For example, renaming the United Province to Uttar Pradesh showcases the ethnic and cultural identity of the community. It's important to preserve the diversity within linguistic lines. Today, we will talk about how states or cities can change their names, just like any other state process. Renaming a state, city, or a town is mentioned in the Constitution. The steps for changing city's name are a bit different from changing a state's name. Here is the list of all the organizations involved in the process. Procedure for changing the names of a state. The Parliament has the authority to change the name of a state, as outlined in Article 3 of the Constitution of India. The process involves presenting a bill for the change, receiving input from the affected states and ultimately passing the bill with a simple majority before it is ratified by the President. This ensures that the state is consulted and the change is made in accordance with the principles of federalism. The procedure of renaming a city is similar to that for a state. There is no constitutional provision dealing with changing the name of a city or any within a state. The power to change a name is vested in state legislation. The procedure is as follows. The introduction of a resolution by any member of the Legislative Assembly to change the name of a particular city or a place in the state. Discuss the resolution. During the discussion, the reason and the possible consequences of the name change were discussed. Officially vote for implement the resolution. In order to pass the resolution, a simple majority is required. Once majority approval is obtained, the resolution is deemed passed. The resolution is submitted for a proposal of the Ministry of Interior. The ministry considered the proposal and consulted with other state agencies. Agencies requiring approval including a Ministry of Railways, Director of Intelligence, Department of Posts, Survey of India and the Register General of India. If the proposal is approved by the ministry and all agencies, the ministry will issue no objection certificate. After obtaining the approval of the ministry, the state government may publish a formal notification in the Gazette. The notification must contain details of the change in the name of the state, city, or any other place. 1953 Guidelines for Name Changes. The guidelines were basically a revised version of a letter from Sardar Fateh Singh, who was Deputy Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs at the time. He had sent the letter to all the state governments, asking them to submit a proposal for changing the names of a place in the states. The letter outlined the process for making these changes and specified the criteria for proposal to be raised in a state legislative assembly. It was also emphasized that any changes would need approval from the Ministry of Home Affairs. So basically they said we should not really change the name of a city, town or whatever unless there is a really good reason. But in 2005, they decided to make exception to the rule. Principles under which changes in names are permitted. The letter mentions 5 key principles that the state government should keep in mind when considering a name changes. These principles include not changing names without a good reason, preserving historical significant names, avoiding changing for patriotic or linguistic reasons, ensuring no confusion with the neighboring places, and providing a clear explanation for any name changes. In the letter, it was suggested that we should restore the names of ancient places that hold historical significance. For example, the village recently known as Gandharwal was once called Gandharvapuri in the old Dawa state near Ujjain. It is proposed that the government of Madhya Pradesh should consider reverting to the original ancient name. Finally, if you want to change the name of a village, district, railway station, post office or any other place, you will need to follow the procedure outlined in the letter. If you are looking to rename a road, you can contact the local municipal body for authorization. Changing the name of a state, however, would require approval from state legislation and the Ministry of Home Affairs. In India, we have a bunch of states that work together to keep things running smoothly. Each state is divided based on language to make sure that people feel connected to their culture. So even the smallest details like the name of a state or a place within it can have a big impact on someone. That's why there is a whole process in a place to change the name of a state or any location within it. It is quite a long and complicated procedure that involves following many rules and regulations. The parliament has the power to change the names of states, but state legislature can also start the process. When it comes to cities, only state legislation assembly can initiate a process, following guidelines set in 1953. In 2017, the government revealed that over 50 proposals were made by states to change the names of certain places, with around 40 being approved. It's important for people to accept these name changes to avoid confusion and ensure they still feel connected to their surroundings. Before surgery, Sadhguru explains his power to scientists. Watch this video now. If you find this video informative, be sure to like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. Pranam.